Hey guys, welcome back. A little side note here. I want to make a silly comparison, but I think it's a good one. If you look here, Ecclesiastes is demonstrating the idea of man's advantage, a wise man's advantage in a fallen world. Now, I don't know about you, but I like dice, and I collect it. And dice is one of those things that is random, and yet you can kind of help out the randomness of dice, if you will. So I've got a card game here. Here's the dice that came with the card game. The idea of this card game, it's a deck builder. And so what you do is you are finding characters. And so here's my random character, like whatever. All right. And what happens in this game is if you roll a 9 or a 10, you get this character. And so if you get that many dice accumulated, I want you to imagine wisdom being collecting these cards. And so if I collect one, anytime I roll a 9 or a 10, I get something. If I stack the deck by getting another one, I then get twice as much. If I stack the deck again, I get 3 times as much. So you get it. Okay. Now the dice roll is random, but what I can do is I can make sure that whenever that situation comes up, I have something to take advantage of that situation. And that's the idea of wisdom. Wisdom is this card, if you will. It's a way to help so that when the random things of life hit, you have something to gain. You have something to gather. You have something to cope with it. Now, God is in utter control of the dice rolls. God is the one, the Bible says, the stones are cast into the lap, but the dispensation of it is of the Lord. And so the idea of casting lots, where you either reach into the bag and you pull out the right colored one or whatever. But what happens with wisdom, if we use the stacking the deck illustration, wisdom is basically making sure that your beneficial cards come up more often. And so that's the idea. If I am someone who is wise, the Bible has all sorts of descriptions of what a wise man's going to do. A wise man's going to raise his kids right. A wise man's going to be smart with his money. A wise man's going to be controlled with his words. All this stuff. And so what a wise man is going to do is a wise man is going to spend his time stacking his deck. He's going to spend his time making sure that in that bag of stones that they're going to draw from, the ones that are beneficial to him are the ones that are most likely going to be grabbed, and he's going to live in such a way that it's not the foolish rock that comes up. Now, we all have foolish rocks in our bag. We all are stupid. We all have made mistakes. We all have things that could mess us up. And that's this idea that you cannot completely control everything. You take it, David, for instance. David was doing the right thing, and he was falsely accused, and he was hunted down, and he had all this stuff that was done to him. That was not his fault in the least, but it still happened. You had guys who misunderstood, and so I think about David. He goes to comfort, one of these guys, and the guy rises up against him because he gets these false people who are like, he's just trying to spy you out. Now, David lived a wise life for the most part, but bad things still happen. And so there is an advantage to living wisely. There is an advantage because as these bad situations crop up, you have the experience, you have the relationship with God, you have various other decks that you can pull from. Whereas a foolish person is someone who doesn't listen to counsel, doesn't listen to advice, and typically they're going to have just a chaotic life. And that's what this wisdom is doing. Wisdom is coming along and saying, yes, bad things still happen to good people. Good things still happen to bad people. However, understand you still need to stack your deck, and then you need to be in a relationship with God in such a way that when these things hit, you're ready for it. And so that's just a little illustration of how something as simple as a card game or a dice roll is going to help you understand how wisdom is still beneficial. Wisdom is a defense. Money is a defense, but wisdom will bring you life. And so that's one of the points Ecclesiastes makes. And so I think if you understand that going into this, Ecclesiastes is going to give you an advantage. Doesn't promise 100% results, but it's going to give you an advantage, and that's why living wisely is still the best idea, even in this fallen world.